Have you ever thought about forgiving instead of taking revenge? Have you ever thought of having life by the values of kindness, bravery, and chivalry? The Tale of Despereaux. The story begins with the birth of a little mouse named Despereaux Tilling. This name, Despereaux, was given by his mother, which in French means sorrow and despair. Of all the mice that were to be born that day, he was the only mouse who made it, and yet he was a very tiny and sick little mouse, making his whole family very disappointed in him. That small little mouse was taught and guided by his other brothers, but he wasn't interested in what his family and past generations had in mind for him. Because he lived in a castle that belonged to King Philip with his daughter Princess P, he was interested in that one particular thing, that particular sound he heard, the sweet sound of honey, as he described the sound of music. Despite the fact that all mice were supposed to be hidden from all human beings, he followed the sweet sound of music, leading him to where Princess P was. Because of that, he deeply fell in love with the princess, and of course, mice weren't supposed to fall in love with any human being, right? So due to the enormity of Despereaux's transgression, he was sent to the dungeons by the Mouse Council, being sure that he would be devoured by the rats in the dungeons. Within the dungeons are rats, hundreds and thousands of cruel rats awaiting for Despereaux. Roscoe, a rat who held grudges against the princess Despereaux fell in love with, was present. This traces back to the time when the queen, Princess P's mother, was still alive. Roscoe, the rat, once accidentally fell into the queen's bowl of soup, resulting in the queen's death. The disgusted look on the princess' face was never forgotten, and he was not able to forgive her for that cruel look she gave him, giving him the idea of planning for revenge. As for the soup, it was forever outlawed in the kingdom, and nothing related to the soup should be found in the castle. Despereaux, despite being just a tiny little mouse, was smart enough to escape the dungeons with the help of a jailer. But here comes the day Roscoe's plan could be put to action, and you all might wonder what exactly the plan is. As a new servant in the castle and a young girl sold by her father, Megrissa was convinced by Roscoe's plan. She was told to kidnap the princess with a life and death decision and bring her into the dungeons. And what does she gain by doing this? The promise the rat made, which of course was not kept, was switching the positions of the princess and the servant. And mainly because Miggery had always been mistreated her whole life, she wanted to experience the taste of what it was like to be in a high social class and to be a very high-respected person. Chaos and bedlam were everywhere in the castle since early morning, being reported that the princess went missing. Every single soul in the castle searched high and low, but no one found any clue on what had happened nor where the dungeons were located. While in the dungeons, Roscoe was preparing his evil plan to torture Princess P. But Miggery soon realized that she's been lied to this whole time and decided not to put up with this awful plan. Despereaux, though a belittled mouse, made his way back into the dungeons, and with a little help from Miggery, they were able to save the princess. After Princess P was saved, Despereaux and Princess P lived a happy life together, and he was even able to roam around the castle freely. Although Roscoe was later forgiven, he was never the same again. Miggery soon discovered that her father was in prison, and after he was let out, he treated her just like a princess. Soup, which has been outlawed since the queen's death, was once again allowed in the kingdom. No matter how small, weak, or pathetic you might have been told, there is no one to stop you from growing. Sizes and looks don't matter. What matters the most is having the heart to fight, regardless of who you are or your differences. The smallest things can make the greatest difference. You never know. Never let others' criticisms let you down, but rather use that as a strength to lead and guide you to take a bigger step towards your goals. Be strong and courageous to fight for someone or something you truly love. Never forget to stand up for yourself, for those around you, and for what you believe is right. Forgive others whenever you have the chance to do so. Forgive them for their mistakes. Forgive them for their sins. Forgive them, for they might have committed some things unknowingly. Forgiving is difficult, in fact, really difficult, but that's a better choice to make than choosing to take revenge. It's me, Phantila, a 9th grader currently studying at Ekama International School. My main purpose of telling this story is to reflect on many people's behaviors, especially nowadays where many people tend to belittle, criticize others, are afraid to stand up for what they believe in, and for getting revenge instead of learning to forgive. I hope the readers can learn many lessons from the tale of Despero, from just a tiny little mouse going through such hardships in his life.